And that may sound a little bit arrogant, but I'm not happy with the way that my government has spent the money in Pakistan. I'm not happy with their behavior in Pakistan. So, as an American citizen who loves my country, I am not being a good patriotic American if I don't speak up against this unfairness and this injustice. No doubt there are elements in Pakistan that have been corrupt. There are some internally generated problems in Pakistan's leadership, but that doesn't mean that America is off the hook for its culpability of what it's responsible for. Just because there's been internal mistakes here and there does not mean that the mistakes that the American government has made make them not culpable or off the hook to do anything about it. I believe that whether you're a country or whether you're an individual, if you've sinned or made some mistake or error or crime, then the only way for you to make it right in your own heart is to atone for that mistake. I think America has to look itself in the mirror and it has to atone for some of its mistakes. Now, Americans will ask me, what do you mean by that? We've given so much money to Pakistan, and they've played a double game with us. They helped create the Taliban, and on one hand they're killing the Taliban, and on the other hand some of the people are trying to support the Taliban in the army and the government. They are doing all these things. They hate America. They are doing all this wrongdoing. They're dishonest people, because they hear this in the news over and over again. So I say to them, well, can I educate you about Pakistan? And I say to them, okay, let me ask you something. What did we do after World War II when we destroyed Germany and Japan with our bombs and things and won that war? And they said, well, we rebuilt Japan and Europe with the Marshall Plan and these things. We helped them rebuild. And I said, oh, okay, so what you're telling me is that our enemies, after World War II, after we defeated them, we came in and rebuilt them and helped their society regrow, right? They're saying, yes, what's wrong with that? I said, nothing. But now let's fast forward to Afghanistan. After the Afghanistan war was won and the U.S. became the lone superpower because we had beaten, humiliated, and bankrupted and destabilized the Soviet Union because of that war, some other reasons, but mostly that war was the breaking point. 2 years later, the Soviet Union would break up, and the Berlin Wall would come down. Unfortunately, nobody was waving Pakistani flags in thank you. They were waving American flags. I think they should have waved some Pakistani flags and said, Pakistan Zindabad. But they didn't do that. So my point to them, to these Americans who are ignorant of these issues, I say, okay, so we were able to rebuild Germany and Japan and these other enemies after World War II. So if we could rebuild our enemies, why couldn't we help rebuild our friends? Isn't that simple enough of a concept to teach somebody? If your friends have helped you, why would you not help them? Instead, we left this place. We totally abandoned this place. We beat back our Soviet Union foe, and then we forgot about our friends who helped us win that war. We forgot about the Mujahideen. We forgot about the people there that helped, that were our allies fighting alongside us. We forgot about the Pakistani people, who, by the way, now had 3 million Afghan refugees on their doorstep to deal with. America did nothing about that. America thought, well, our strategic interests have been met, so we can leave this area. They didn't build schools in Pakistan and Afghanistan, and in the Pashtun tribal lands in both countries. We didn't repatriate foreign fighters that we had brought there. We didn't take people who had been devastated by war, children and mothers, and give them hospitals and give them infrastructure so that they could have a better life. So America has some culpability in Pakistan. I've learned these things, and I believe that God has given me a mission not just to help the earthquake victims, but to go back and show my American citizens the real Pakistan and what we have done to destabilize that country. Now, personally, my personal opinion is $7.5 billion from this Kerry Lugar bill should be considered as an insult to Pakistanis. If your decisions have destroyed so much over 30 years, and then you're supposed to be looked at as a good guy because you throw a few bucks here, They've spent, what, $100 billion on the war in Afghanistan? And now they want to, over 5 years, they want to spend $7.5 billion in funds, U.S. funds. Well, the thing is, if I take your house and I burn it down, and your house was worth $1 million, and I contributed some of the firewood and helped light the fire that this house is now burning down, even if it was by accident, not intentional. But if I helped burn it down, and it was $1 million house, how would you feel if I gave you $100,000? You would probably feel bad, and you'd probably feel sad, and you'd probably feel angry and insulted. Wait a minute. My house is burned down. My whole house is destroyed. My neighbors are affected. Everything has gone crazy around here. And yet, my $1 million home is gone, or severely damaged, and you want to give me $100,000, and you want me to smile and thank you and be happy? Come on. Come on. That's ridiculous in anyone's book. But if you explain it that way to Americans, they start to understand. Now, I know some of you here may disagree with me, but I am here to tell you that I totally disagree with Hillary Clinton's attitude in her visit here a week and a half ago. Now, I'm not telling you that just to get a round of applause from you and make you feel good that at least one American understands. What I want to say to you about that is that Hillary Clinton had an opportunity. She is coming the first time as the Secretary of State of the United States of America. She's coming, and what is her goal? What was her goal? Her goal was to reach out to the Pakistani people for the first time in a way that made her directly communicate with the people in a positive way. She wanted to leave that trip with an understanding between the Pakistani people that engendered some lessening of tensions and some building of trust, at least a start. Well, she miserably failed at that. Why did she miserably fail at that? Because she didn't take into account so many things that she needed to take into account. There's bombs going off as she landed. There's people dying in the streets. Why is she going to say critical and actually in some cases unsubstantiated accusations and inflammatory, corrosive comments during a time where Pakistan people are suffering and so fearful in their own streets? My advice to Hillary Clinton would have been to come to the Pakistani people and say, we have failed you and we have walked away from you several times in the past 30 years. We understand you don't trust us. And we understand that we've made some big mistakes. And we understand that you're not going to trust us for some time to come. Maybe even a few years. But I am here to promise you that we are going to go on a new strategy forward to deal with the Pakistani people in a positive way. And she did say some of these things, but she also mixed it with allegations and corrosive talk and some very arrogant speaking to the Pakistani people, scolding, in fact. And I think that that was the wrong approach. I think that she should have had one message and one message only to Pakistan. We've made mistakes. We are going to make up for them. Give us time, and maybe after a few years you'll trust us, but give us the opportunity to start on that road to proving to you that we're going to do better. And our first step is going to be to see that this Kerry Lugar money is spent in a way that helps the Pakistani people on the ground. Any other thing besides that, I knew it wouldn't be accepted well by the Pakistani people. Because she's not on the ground. She's so far up in her ivory tower that she doesn't understand what the average Pakistani is thinking.